You've been involved recently in looking at other technologies. Describe the life of a reporter 10 years from now.
Well, I think the skilled stenographic reporter 10 years from now is going to survive well, and to provide services that these other methods from voice to text simply cannot accomplish. Will they accomplish it someday? Certainly the research and development is working on that technology for speech recognition. And as we talked in a presentation this morning, the speech recognition technologies that are used on cell phones, on the iPhone, iPad, the rest of the technologies, and the ability to, what we talked about this morning, a Japanese company that can record simultaneously multiple voices at the same time and use videotapes to recognize their emotions. Dragon Systems, and if people look at this 10 years from now, they're going to say Dragon Systems. Dragon Systems now has an application that you can dictate to your iPhone, and it goes to a central server, and Dragon continually updates its ability to translate by having multiple dialects and accents on a big server somewhere. And so now there's not even any training to Dragon, and you, instead of texting like people do with their thumbs, they just say it now and send it. It's amazing technology, and will it someday have an effect on what we do for a living? It's possible, but not in the near future, I don't believe.
What are your greatest fears about the future of reporting?
Attrition. New people not coming into the business, people not seeing it as a good opportunity, the scare factor of digital audio recording, and it's in the marketplace. And I think the average age now of at least an NCRA member is, I think, in the mid-40s, early to mid-40s. And people like me that don't write anymore but are still members. And so you have a kind of a false number of the number of people that are out writing.
If a career counselor interviewed you, how would you describe the profession of reporting?
I would describe it as a vocation, and a lucrative one, and if you put the time in, a very rewarding one. And I always looked at it as court reporting. It should to me be a 2-year program. I know that it's longer in some schools, and you can make a good amount of income right out of the box, really, after maybe a year of good experience. A professional education, like an engineer, takes a while to build up to a good income. So eventually they're going to outdo what a court reporter does, but a court reporter accelerates from the beginning. Usually maxes out, depends on how many hours you want to put in.
At some point you became aware that indeed court reporters had an association, and did you say to yourself, gee, I have to have a piece of that, or how did you get involved in first state association and then national?
Well, I've been a member of the Court Reporters Association, California Court Reporters, and National Association, in those days the NSRA, National Shorthand Reporters Association, since about 1971. And at that time, the schools were encouraging the students to join the association and to keep abreast of what was happening in the industry and not be in isolation, because court reporters tend to be in isolation a lot, and especially today with all electronic media, you tend not to associate with a lot of people. So your association is a place to gather, to network, and to learn what's in the marketplace and increase your education.
So as far as the state association, did you feel that at some point would run its course and that you wanted to become involved on a national basis, or was there a particular committee you wanted to serve on, and why?
Well, I never was that involved with the California Association other than I was a member. I became more involved with the National Association in 1993 when Judy Brentano was president and Mike was the chair of the technology committee, and there was a conflict, at least that's what I was told, and so they asked me to be chair. And that's when I started getting more involved with NCRA and being involved in the technology committees. And I should say too that I also do a lot of work with the Court Reporters Board of California on different task forces. And CCRA now, California Court Reporters Association, I do seminars, but I've never been on the board. I have been on the board of NCRA.
You eventually were elected to office in the National Association.
Director.
Director, as a director.
Mm-hmm.
Did you become aware that there was indeed a political component to the National Association, or was that non-existent at the time?
No, it was very existent, but I've never been involved in the politics of it.
But was there some of the politics that you perhaps wanted to change or want to use to your advantage?
Not to use to my advantage, but yes, that I would have changed. And I think we were able to accomplish some of that.
Well, anything in particular over the last 10 years, for instance, if it were up to you, you think the profession or the association should have done differently?
Oh, yes. I believe that the board should be a more diverse group of people. I also believe they should have, like a board of any large business, they should have a public member. And that they should, all the technologies that the court reporters use should be represented on the board, which, as we know, last year did not pass. But the CLVS program, for the CLVSs to be registered members, which would allow them to be on the board. And I thought that had a lot of value because it does bring a piece of the business, because it is a business, and the association is a business entity.
So you've been to a number of national conventions.
Yes.
Going back, I won't ask you the first one, but from that to the present, have you noticed a change in the conventions? And if so, how have they changed?
Well, certainly there's been a change in attendance. In past times, conventions in Orlando and San Diego would draw like at least 2,700 people. I think the convention today here is probably about 1,200 or 1,300. I believe some of that has to do with certifications in states where they do not require continuing education units. And I think there's some apathy in the reporting business, and it has become more isolated, and people don't see the value of belonging to the association.